All right, and welcome to Hive Thrive with your hosts, Buttcoins and Shadows Pub. Today we're going to welcome EcoInstant. He's been stirring up things here in the Hive Discord, and he's got a lot of other places he's got his toes into. So let's check out what he's doing. Welcome, Eco.
Thank you so much, Shadows Pub. And I just want to say I have been doing my part, like my favorite GIF. I'm doing my part, but I wouldn't be stirring up so much stuff if I didn't have so much great, beautiful backup like you and like our good friend the Butt. How you doing, Butt? Where are you? Are you in Bulgaria
Uh,
still?
no, I'm in the UK. I flew from Bulgaria. I guess it was this is my second day in the UK, and I'm only here for two more days. It was a breeze through. I'm seeing the in-laws, staying with my wife's family, and yeah, and then I'm off to Florida, and we're gonna be with my family for a chunk of time. My grandma is 95 years old, so we want to get the kids down there so that they can have whatever time they can have with grandma, great grandma for them.
I know exactly what you mean. And we got to, each one of us has to take advantage of the time that we have. That's all we got.
Exactly. So, Eco, where are you in the world for the record? Most people probably know, but we'll do it anyways.
For the record, I'm in Colombia, and I was just talking to just the 1000th time somebody said Colombia, and I'll just take this chance to tell you that in 1589, if I'm not mistaken, Blas de Lezo resisted the British invasion at Cartagena, and we are Colombia. There are a lot of Colombias, but we are in no way British. We are expressly 0% British. We are Colombia.
Well, you realize I'm Canadian. I'm going to say Colombia. That's just the way it is. How long you been there?
Uh, I recently told this story on a podcast, but basically, I came in 2009, had no idea what I was doing, and moved here permanently to this small town outside of the big city in 2012. And I've been here since then, 2012. I got my permanent residency in, I think, 16 or 17, somewhere in there. And I'm a permanent resident. And I now visit my mom, and this is my home.
So, 2016, 2017, just about the rollout of the legacy chain. When did you roll onto the chain?
About that time, I was 2017. I got in figuring it out around April. I had won a 500 HP delegation from the Marky Mark about my bananas. And, before that, I had a WordPress blog. I had, instead of becoming a blogger, I had become a sysadmin. But I invited my mom on to write her posts even before that. And so when I started figuring out that this blockchain was my lamp stack, I invited my mom, and she was my first and very best onboard of all time.
Well, that's interesting. You say that you invited her. I heard you dragged her on kicking and screaming.
Well, it was the hardest was the WordPress blog because it was not very user friendly, but I had done all the back end. That one was kicking and screaming, and she did do a few posts. So I saw a way that it could be easier for her, and it wasn't as hard for me that time, but of course she was uncomfortable. She didn't know what is this. But luckily, I believe it was Marianne's West at similar time had started a free rights community, and she just, she's a fish in water. She is so lovely, and she had a great time from the first day, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think Snook has more fun than she lets on sometimes. And I'm noticing that she hasn't even managed to snicker yet, which is really good. So, anyways, you come onto the chain, and obviously you started looking around and figuring out what you were going to do on it. Did you do more posting, or did you start figuring out what the abilities of the chain were back then?
It was so funny because I was like trying to write about my farm. That's what these family members care about. But it was always anytime any new person asked a question, how do I do this? I just started really writing, I think, kind of like tutorial posts. Some of my first tutorials were how do you do stuff in Markdown. And I kind of got just slowly more advanced, and I would learn things, and I would teach people because everybody's asking about it. How do I do that? How do I do this? That guy did that. How did he do it? And the low hanging fruit started there, and I kind of transitioned into some sort of weird farming tech blogger. I don't know. I never could find a one niche. I just randomly posted about what I was learning and what I was doing, and I think some people found it useful, but I never really had a. Some of our big bloggers here have taken off. I think because they stick to their niche. I'm not a man with a niche. I have all the niches. I love them. I love niche stuff.
So I can remember coming across your posts, um, even before I knew that there was an actual connection between you and Snook, because she didn't really tell that one too much at the beginning. And yeah, I have a domain. It's called nichelessandlovingit.com. It's one that would fit you perfectly because yeah,
It's
you do kind of write
hilarious, but
on
yeah,
variety of stuff.
and it's funny to me, especially how few people still know that this is my mom. Snook is my mom, not like fake mom, not like brother from
No,
another
yeah,
mother mom, my literal
no.
mom, and I love her dearly. And she does not do any of the things I do. She has me hold her
No.
hand every time she should move a token. But I love her dearly, and she does whole different things in all her own different places. And what a beautiful thing. To me, that's the proof of concept of Hive. We're completely different. We use the chain in different ways, but we're both so happy to be here.
You're right. That is exactly one of the values of the chain is the fact that people can use it in multiple ways. It's an engine basically that is driving what other people are able to do, and that in itself gives it strength and value. You're not sitting on a place like Medium or X or Facebook where they've got one purpose for being there. There's multiple purposes for being here on Hive, and from what I've seen of you, you use them to very much use multiple purposes. And I think at this point, I'm going to say, but go ahead and ask him about all the stuff he's doing.
Yeah, sure. I'll just chip in with my memory of first meeting EcoInstant. I remember I just remember a post about some crazy guy in Colombia, like in the rainforest, and I don't even know if I remember what the post was about, but I just remember being like, oh man, that guy's like my neighbor because I've been living in Guatemala since 2010 myself, and so yeah, I feel like I just reached out, and then I feel like in the 2017 2018 we had a bunch of back and forths, and then it's been a few years. It's like always you're sort of always there on my radar, but we've definitely reconnected here in the last months over podcasting and synergy and all of these cool things going on. Yeah, so which actually gets me to my first question, or my first little topic here, which is podcasts for the win on Hive. So, I've been doing a couple podcasts, or I've been doing a podcast here, and you jumped into this equation, or I like noticed that you were doing it, and man, you've just been trumpeting podcasts, more podcasts, more podcasts. So I'm just kind of curious, like, what do you see as the biggest benefit to us creating podcasts, doing this thing that has been happening on the Hive Discord lately?
Well, I'm going to take it one step back because I'm a sociologist. I have land. I did very well, not in the first cycle where I was, ignorant like everyone else, but in the second cycle, I did well. We bought more land. We have a life, kind of like you, but, so these magical internet monies, they just kind of appear in my wallet. I do clicks, and now I have money, I guess. But when you look at Hive, I as a sociologist, I think we're consider ourselves to be the social chain, a chain that's more social than others, at least in the technological space. So as a sociologist interested in applied and appropriate technologies, I look at Hive and I saw that there's a problem here. Everything's mysterious because no one's talking. And my mom invited me onto into a show here. I believe it was Peace and Money was doing it with both of you guys. And I came in and I spouted off about some weird math problem that is very interesting to me. And then I asked, hey, did you guys record that? I feel like that spouting off was good. And nope. Oh, gosh, no? Man, I couldn't do that again. So I have OBS. I have the technology. I said, okay, well, I'm going to record it. There's no reason that this should be mysterious to anybody. And again, that was not even any of the stuff we've dug into. That was about HBD, PEG or whatever, tonsure. So I started recording, and one podcast became two, and I had started the Deep Web 3 Secrets last year. I did 6 episodes, 4 of which are published on the YouTube, but it didn't flow right in life, you know. I did 4 episodes with Spirit Surge. We did like how to spot a rug. We wanted to get kind of some content out to like protect people, educational content. But it just, he was busy, I was busy, everybody's busy, so it didn't quite make it. But I just started like, I have these abilities. Let's do it. I'll record anybody who wants to be recorded. Now, the original podcast is called Crypto and Cola. They, after 2 or 3 episodes, transitioned to recording themselves. They made a YouTube channel, and I told them, thank you so much. I don't want to do that work. I'm so happy to have helped you transition to doing it yourself, because they weren't doing it. Now they are. And that's, if I played a part in that, that's really good. So, but I also am weird, like we're all weird. I can't set a time, guys. I can't. So I'm so happy that you guys, for example, and other people are having fixed shows, because, you might see me randomly interviewing someone at 9 o'clock at night on a Wednesday, or not, 3 in the morning on a Saturday. Like, I just randomly float around and interview different people, because we all live around the world. So, did I answer the question? I feel like I went off the rails there.
No, I think you answered the question for the most part there. And I think it's great when a podcast chooses to record themselves. But we here at Hive Thrive, we want to make you work. So that's why we have you to record.
And I'm happy.
Host.
Here's what I want to say. I'm happy to do the work. I'm happy to add value while and up until there's value to add. Once there's no more value for me to add, I'm so happy to step back. So this podcast that you guys are doing are so important, and I clearly can add some value to you guys. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. And so I guess if I was going to dig into this kind of thought process a little bit more, like what is it? What do you think that well, okay, let me ask this in 2 phases. So like, what is it about podcasting specifically for Hive that will allow Hive and Hivians to come together? Why do you think that is like a missing piece of the puzzle that maybe hasn't been happening? And then maybe for the second question, like, what other kind of podcasts would you like to see? And where, and then I guess maybe it's almost like a question for the audience, but like, who else who else is going to do it? Because I'd like to come and hear other people talking as well.
Okay, so first of all, podcast is a buzzword red herring here. What we need is communication, right? I'll just emphasize again, I am a sociologist, trained and certified. Okay, so we need to talk to each other. Podcast is just one of the new ways that we do that. And I'll take you down memory lane a little bit, actually. A few years ago, I connected with Brian of London through a podcast called No Agenda. The father of podcasts, or the podfather as they call it, Adam Curry, and he invented the Podcasting 2.0 Index. And Podping, built by Brian of London, is actually supporting that program. He put it on Hive because it made sense. Hive is a cool technology to do things like this. And I sent $333 to the podcast to get Brian of London shouted out. And me and Brian of London have the clip of Adam Curry saying, "I have Hive power." And this was years ago we did this. And, at that time I wasn't like project managing anything more than like auto waterers on these little weird games that I play. But, as time went on, I've been always looking for places to add value. I love adding value. It's just one of the things that I love to do in my life.
Nice. As I was, because you didn't answer this part of my question, I'm going to answer it for myself. the, uh, I was like sitting there thinking while you were talking, and I was just like, man, what we need is just the noob show, just literally just like, hey, welcome to the noob show, and just pull all the like basically almost like a funnel, like, oh, you come into the terminal, hey, have you signed up for the weekly noob show, and just get people in and learn, and immediately, because I think we lose a lot of people like in retention because they don't have a point of connection, they don't have a place to connect. So I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just answering my own question there. All right, moving on.
Nailed it, but
um, uh, so you know well, like in terms of it's funny because this is like my follow on to the podcasting section of my questions, which is there any like game theory that we could lightly tie into these podcasts? Do you have any like like links for us, in because I know you're into gaming and game theory, and I'm just kind of curious if there's any play specifically, just to milk a little bit more out of this podcasting question. What is the game theory for podcasts here on Hive?
well, I'll say I think the pieces are almost in place already with Posh, proof of social sharing. There's something there. I've been thinking, I have a couple of kind of side ideas about how to use Posh in fun ways. I think there's a missing piece. I think we need to tap into Posh in new ways or figure it out. But I'm willing to do a podcast about it, break down the ideas. And I'll just shout out this Saturday with Hive Trending, we have the State of the Moonion, meeting, and we'll be talking about reward pool tokenomics, and that may be relevant. But I guess what I could say is that yes, and we almost have all the pieces, but we'll have to. Thought is required, right? Not all ideas are good, but we need all the ideas out there to pick the best ones.
So what
All
is
right.
State of the Moon? Is that an actual show or is that a title of a show?
Oh, my mic button. Okay, so Hive Trending and I'm helping. I'm synergizing with him. I'm helping him out. But we're relaunching Steam Nova. It's a game that already exists. Very popular game in the 2000s in Germany. And we forked the repo, and we've been updating it to Hive. And it's called Moon. That's the name of the game. So I've been interviewing Gerber, and Gerber has just been dumping me his doctoral thesis on reward pool tokenomics. And so I said to Hive Trending, man, how do you want this dissertation? Can we just talk about it on a podcast? Can it be open? And so all of a sudden he created the State of the Moonion, and we're going to do it not monthly, but moonly. So every full moon, we're going to do, that's the idea. It's the first one. We don't know yet. We'll see what happens.
Things get weird in the full moon and you're proving it.
So,
Uh,
you know,
yes.
we've talked a little bit about Hive here, but I know that down there deep in Colombia that you're also involved with some other things that you're pretty passionate about. So let's get our hands in the dirt here for a second, and can you tell us a little bit about your ecological restoration revolution that you got going on? Believe it's called Quinta Esencia.
Yes, and I'm frantically pulling up links for you. So I would send you first to my wife's. Okay, so my wife is on Hive, and her posting frequently seems to be, her frequency seems to be somewhere between once and twice a year. But she just published her year in review of all the ecological restoration she's done. We've believed for a long time that we've identified the problem with ecological restoration is everyone loves to plant trees, then backpat, then forget about them. And then most of the trees die because nobody cares about them anymore because they already backpatted. So monitoring and follow-up is a weakness in the ecological restoration. And I've been frantically trying to build the tools to put that in Hive for years. In fact, I built a tool called Dreamer, and I had a lot of people ready. They were so excited. They were asking me when Dreamer. You can search on my backlinker tool all the references to Dreamer over the years. And I put out the tool. Open beta, guys. Come and test it. No one showed up. So our NGO, I believe this NGO, Quinta Esencia, is the oldest NGO on Hive. We founded it in 2012. It wasn't a made-up charity to milk Hive. It's a real one, and it's on Hive. And if you scroll back a little bit, you'll notice our beta test of getting our members to post their reports about sustainable development, whatever they're doing. Some of it's tourism, some of it's woman empowerment, some of it's agriculture, some of it's, I don't know, you have to go and check it out. But, and you'll notice when we founded this in 2012, my little bit is the applied appropriate technologies. And I've been working for years to try to make it happen, and it just hasn't come together so this year, I believe I got the roadmap. We're doing it. We're building everything in Lego fashion. I'm not going to bespoke build a tool that nobody's going to show up for. I'm building the tools I need. I say this in my blog. I need these tools. I don't know if people understand what that means, but so back to my wife. She published the year in review, and this is very exciting for us because Global Landscape Forum, which is so how does grant work? There's big grant givers, and they give them to middle grant managers to give to little not-for-profits in different corners of the world. The middle people pressure the little people like, hey, stop doing the work and do a document so we can show the big people what you did. And so GLF, Global Landscape Forum, Latin America division, has suddenly seen, my wife's been poking him about what she does on her blog for a while, but they were recently kicked off of their hosting provider. I'm not exactly sure the details, but they are quite interested in being our first major client for your front end, easily deployable sites. You're not going to see the votes, the monetization. You're not going to see any disagreement about reward pool. You're not even going to see the comments from people that I really couldn't care less about their opinions. You're only going to be able to show your reports. And on the back end, if you want more info, dig into it. So this is what we're building. We're pretty much, I don't want to say done because there's always more tweaks. But our tools work. I don't know if people know this, but they work already, and we have clients, and we're trying to get more, and we got the big one. Global Landscape Forum is a kind of a support for decentralized restoration groups in 100 countries around the world in different regions in those countries. So this is kind of what we're doing. I may be throwing shade and flack in the air with a whole bunch of other stuff, but this is probably, I would say, the main thing that we get up to.
So okay. just to unpack this a little bit for my own brain to understand here. So, okay, I understand the physical reforestation. I understand the project that your wife is working on. Could you explain a little bit better? Okay, you say we were the first NGO on Hive, and so I guess maybe could you just clarify the connections with Hive
Did
and
I say
the
first?
tool?
Did I say first? I think
Yeah,
I
you
said
did.
oldest.
Oh, you might have said oldest or first. Maybe.
You said first because I was wondering how you could have been the first one on in 2012, but I thought we'd get back to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I should
Well,
clarify.
I,
Yeah, I
I
believe we're
guess
the
though, just
oldest.
let me just ask
Okay,
the
sorry. Let me
question
shut up.
first, and then I'm gonna give you free reign. So just what I'm looking for is the ties to Hive. You're talking about building tools, and so I'm just trying to understand like how all of this interlaces. How does planting a tree in Colombia tie in with the NGO, tie in with creating tools? If you could just kind of like put some of those pieces together so I understand that, that would be amazing.
Well, I'm going to try. What does it mean to be on Hive? Hive is a database. So we do things in the real world, and sometimes we write about them on Hive. I built a tool for my company, and I opened it up to multiple communities, like the bros. I tried to get other people to like help me test it, but generally I build the things I need, and I think other people will need too, and try to make them useful for everybody. What does it mean to be on Hive? So our site, thecrazygm.com, kind of a gamey theme. Somebody went and told me, why can't I log in with Keychain? This isn't on Hive, and it's like, okay, bro, but what does it mean to be on Hive? You mean I should be building for 2,000 active users and ignoring 8 billion people that don't know about Hive? What does it mean? Like, what do you mean? Explain to me how it's on Hive. I just showed you the link, man. So you tell me what you mean.
Well, I guess what I mean, the question that I'm asking is just I was looking for the connections to how you're, I suppose, utilizing Hive and what exactly the tools are doing specifically in terms of benefiting the project of planting trees and reforestation and ecological sustainability. So I was just trying to understand the bridge of the way the tools are facilitating and aiding the actual hands in the dirt side of the operation.
I love it. I love it because I know that my mind is, for a lot of people, it's ass backwards. But I think that's probably good. We don't all need to think the same way. But to me, we're not on Hive. Hive's connected to us because Hive is digital. What is this? The cloud. What does that mean? The only thing that gives value to these magic internet monies, these magical decentralized technology. What is a GitHub repo? Is that like a real thing? Can I eat that? The only thing that gives or will give as we figure out what we're doing is connection to the real world. So no, I'm not coming on Hive with my thing. I'm bringing Hive and putting it in my thing, and you guys want that, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so you're putting Hive on your operations, and how do the two connect together?
Perfect. So on Hive, we have the way to reward content of any type. And so we have this thing called a post, and we have a reward pool, and we can destinate incentives for different activities. And we've tried over the years to incentivize many different types of activities. I've kind of been through it all. And I'll just say, I mean, just to be incredibly crazy, remember drug wars, guys? They were trying to
Oh yeah.
incentivize attacking your neighbor with the auto shitpost. And so we've tried all sorts of crazy things. Well, why haven't we tried incentivizing real world problems? Why haven't we tried incentivizing solutions to real world problems? So, my wife went in for the master's degree. in ecological restoration, and we quickly realized the biggest problem worldwide in ecological restoration is once that tree's planted, nobody cares anymore. And 98% of the trees die because all the back padding's been done. There's no further incentives. Nobody's given, or wasn't, less people. More people are now. We had a big chat. She gave her chat at COP 16 in November. She was invited to speak by GLF, the Global Landscape Forum, as the president of Quinta Esencia. And I should probably, once you guys start talking, find that YouTube link for you guys to watch. The biggest problem in ecological restoration is follow-up and monitoring, or what, those words, seguimiento y monitoreo. So we believe we can use HIVE uniquely to incentivize simple reporting. Did you go and look at the tree? Has it been stepped on by a cow? And if so, take a picture, show us. Now we can learn something. If there was a failure, even a failure, but maybe especially a failure, all of that needs to be documented. And that's how you learn. That's how iterative processes work. It's the same in the real world as it is in development. We need to iterate these processes, but if no one goes and looks, then we're not learning anything. And that has been a big problem maybe since the 80s, but it's starting to become a big deal. I think we've been on top of it since before it was a big deal. And I hope to get, how when you ride a wave, you need to be paddling before the wave actually gets there. I really think if we get up on that wave, we got Fermionico, for example, on crypto tendencias. And I just really think that HIVE helps ecological restoration overcome its largest challenge. That's what I see in my head in the fourth dimension. You know what I mean?
So
am I hearing correctly? Am I hearing correctly that you're doing the documenting of the follow-ups on HIVE?
Well, I'd love to do it, and I've tried 3 different ways. The problem is it's way too dang complicated for anybody to do it. And then they downvote you, and then you got to get a wallet, and then you lose your keys, and then you say, hey, I lost my keys. What were the keys again? So, yes, if it were that easy, it'd be done already because I've tried it 3 different ways. But our newest iteration of these tools are specifically designed to make it as easy as any other website. Log in with your email, do your thing, and get back to planting the trees and protecting the rainforest, or however you want to say it the most simply.
Yeah, so that's what I was hearing, and that's where it all was clicking for me. Is what I was understanding was it's just this full circle thing, and utilizing HIVE to monetize or to reward or incentivize the follow through part of the process. That was what I heard, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. That makes sense because yes, I've seen it over and over again, especially where I'm at as well. These, everybody kind of like, I'm here to save whatever. Let's pick up garbage. Let's clean this lake. Let's plant these trees. But then they bye. And so yeah, if you can do something or have HIVE be utilized to do that follow through, that sounds good to me.
Can I just touch? Can I touch on garbage? So let me tell you this. Our world is filled with very real problems, and I feel strongly that yelling about the problems is not the same as a solution. So yes, maybe we need to yell a little bit, but then we need to iterate solutions again and again and again until it gets better. Garbage is a great one. Let's go pick up the garbage. And then we put it, where do we put it? We put it on the garbage truck. Well, where's he taking it to? Is it a landfill? What are the practices of the landfill? Maybe it'd be better off distributed into the woods because, there's problems with landfills. And there's, I will even say a landfill is better than some of the solutions I've seen around the world of where the garbage ends up. So let's go collect the decentralized garbage and put it into a centralized solution. Sometimes it's worse. And so it's frustrating that everybody seems to recognize that we got problems. But I would love to iterate solutions in a practical and synergistic way And I kind of sometimes look and people are just still just yelling about the problem. Like, come on, guys, here we go. We're working. Come on, let's go forward. Half a step at least.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to get me started on garbage stuff. So, yeah, I totally agree with this. Um, Anyways, we're about down to our 20 25 minutes here, and I do not want to miss one of the aspects that we came to chat about. You have put out a new proposal recently, and I believe we're actually a few days into it. The Mithril proposal. Could you give us the basics of what it's about and where it's at currently?
Yeah. So, okay. So let me start at the beginning for me. I don't know if it's the beginning of your question, but when we decided, we kind of everything came together. 2025. I'm a firm believer. I felt it. I feel it. 2025. We're in the fourth turning. It's here. It's real. It's happening. The social contract is up for grabs. And so, of course, there's a whole lot of distractions. So you're not writing it because we're all creative humans. We all have the ability to participate in this process. It's an open process, except they distract you. We put together a plan. We're full time. I got a weirdly fat wallet. Like I was the biggest D City player in the world. Most successful D City player in the world. Like, is that more important than restoration? I don't think so. So you know what? That was fun. I enjoyed that. It was meaningful to me. I learned a lot. But I don't need that. I need to do these things. And so we put together a roadmap. And it actually, in terms of the DHF, I mean, the roadmap included the podcast. And when we started getting in touch with you, Butt Coins, and Shadows, and Mano, it was clear that the hottest, hurtest, bitterness topic on Hive was that DHF. And so we started demystifying it because that's what communication does. It looks to demystify. Let's talk to people openly and honestly. Let's figure this out. And as part of that process, you guys got block trades, and I recorded it, but I was listening. And block trades said, I actually think we should be spending more money. I just wish there were better proposals out there. And I thought, okay, reorganize the roadmap. Let's step this up. Let's do this because we are open source developers. We have a lot of experience. We're building what I believe Hive is missing, whether or not we get funded. This is a flash proposal, and I'll be posting hopefully tonight about partial funding. You can't believe how many people told me, wait, you can get partial funding? Yes, we're going to demystify that next, and probably I'll have one or more days to reach out again to people. I'd love to get 1 day of funding. That'd be $9,000, man. See what we do with it. I would love to get 1 day of funding. We'll see. But this is what we're doing. So again, I'm more than willing to do more proposals or less, but I demystified a lot in this process. And what is it? Okay, so what is it? The easiest way I can describe it is Red Hat for Hive. It's a Hive as a service. I need people around the world to log in with their email, post their report, log out. That's it. Get back to work. I'll do the Hive part, and I'll have all the documentation as you want to dig in more to the crypto. If you want to learn more, you want to get more control, I'll do it, right? But I need all the toolbox. When a person, and this is on or off Hive, when a person says, I need to change my keys, we just put out the easiest and safest key changer, which I'll try to get to you guys right now. This tool wasn't there. I need this. I can't tell you how many people I've walked through this process. It wasn't good. The tools weren't good enough. I built it. Is it worth money? I don't know. I think so. That's why I paid for it. I paid for this tool. It's done. So there it is. I need all these tools. I'd love some $9,000 to help, but I'm doing it anyway. So, let's learn something. Let's do podcasts about it.
Let's grab into a little section. You know, I listened to your AMA, and I've read through a bunch of your posts here. Something that clicks for me is this idea of lowering the bar to play. And there was something that got said, that it was basically about how we all kind of like shit on Steam, and we should, but actually in a certain way, in this one specific way, it was a little bit easier to play with the tools on Steam. And since we have moved to Hive, it is from, at least from a dev or an amateur dev point of view, what I was hearing was that it's much harder to just go in and play and make little tools and do things. And my understanding is that this is one of the big things that you want to do through your proposal, is to make the tools work, make it easier to come and play, make it more friendly for devs from wherever, amateur or good, high quality, to come into Hive and be able to have some toolboxes to play around with. Could you go into that side of things a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. We have an enormous level of tech debt. There's a reason that there's like some secret hatred of Hive Engine. We just have a lot of tech debt. Things, Olger 80, I mean, I don't want to blame him personally, but his disappearing dev act is a good example of what has happened on Hive. And there's just tech debt. And so it is hard. Everybody is bespoke building fixes for things, and the next guy's got to do that too. And the next guy, the thing is, I've been the next guy 3 or 4 times on some of these things, and I say to GM, didn't you fix that last time? He said, yeah, well, let me go look. And and so some of these things I got to fix again, and luckily we go find the old bespoke, and now and so at some point we just decided bespoke is the enemy here. Somebody needs to sit down and just go piece by piece and fix this stuff. And the people that kind of understand this have really resonated. People that judge hackathons, people that actually use things like Beam, which is now Hive Nectar on pip. This sort of stuff is being fixed already, and we're doing it. In fact, I have a great clip from the core dev meeting. I'll go get it right now. Brian of London was so grateful. He just deleted Beam and put in Hive Nectar, and we fixed the time zone problem of Beam. He's now getting 37 less error messages on his V4V stuff, and he actually sent us a PR, a pull request, and he is just loving it because somebody needed to do it, and nobody did it. And we're doing it now. And you know what? I can say that we're doing it because we need it, but, I think that we all need this. I don't want to get salty about it. We're going to do it anyway. But I really think in 1 month, in 3 months, in 5 months, in 6 months, eventually everybody's going to say, oh my gosh, that's worth money. Look at all the things they've done.
So I take it you're talking about putting together a toolbox, as Ed has just put it, with reusable components as opposed to more duct tape.
Well, that's exactly right.
Right?
Reusable Legos. Yes, Ed is killing it. Yeah. Let me see if I can get this video, because we were very much validated in the core dev meeting the other day by Brian of London. It made me feel real good, so good that I made the 2-minute clip, and I'm gonna go get it right now. So give me 1 minute. You guys cover for me here.
All right. So, I, yeah, I mean, if he is listening, so something that I'm just sort of curious about is how much of the actual deving that EcoInstant is doing himself. How is he? What is his technical prowess? Um, and
So I have a hot
no,
question here from Menno. He wants to know if the butt has been talking for 3 hours.
The butt's been talking. The butt don't stop. I am a
The
project manager. Let me dive into what a project manager is. Yes, I have written code in my life. I won a Visual Basic competition in high school before I joined Steam. I put together my own LAMP stack, and I became a pretty mediocre sysadmin. You know, I think I surpassed lousy, and I was up in the mediocre category. The thing is, my skill set, there are better Python devs than me. There are better Bash script writers than me. There are better Docker deployers than me. I've done it all. But you know what? The guy that talks to these autistic developers, that finds common ground, that finds the synergy, that does the podcast, that writes the GitHub issue, that actually writes down the issue in the GitHub, there ain't that many of us. I don't think that there's zero project managers on Hive, because I just interviewed Detlev, and Detlev dropped. Great, probably best episode yet, guys. If you haven't seen the Detlev interview yet, wow, that guy is cool. So I think Detlev is exactly the same kind of skill set with the world mapping and the beer token. But what I do now is way more valuable than writing the code. And I know that that is counterintuitive to non-tech people that think that devs are wizards and we should like bow down to them or something. But no, there's no company in the world where the dev is the CEO. Devs are employees. They do what they're told by project managers, other departments, managers that make decisions. And when they don't, we get the problems that we see. Bespoke building, 2 years. We had an idea. We got some funding. We've been building for 2 years. The game's not out yet. Why is that? That's the lack of a project manager.
So, I see you calling out all the time. Well, at least in some of these recent posts, dealing with the mithril development framework project, and I see you calling out for negative feedback. Tell me the things that you don't like. Tell me this stuff, and I don't see this often. I don't see as much interaction with most of the proposals out there on the DHF. But it seems like you're trying to, through calling for this feedback, you're trying to do two things in one go. It seems like you are, one, trying to figure out what it is that people don't like, so that you can either clarify or correct. And then it also feels a little bit like you're trying to figure out, and you've used this word several times today, demystify what it even means to write a proposal. So maybe you could dig into a little bit of what you've uncovered with your demystification of even creating a DHF proposal.
Excellent question. Yeah, and somebody the other day said something about double dipping in a negative way. Man, if it ain't at least a double dip, I ain't doing it, man. Everything I do is at least a win-win, and hopefully win-win-win is a new minimum. I only triple dip. I would like 5 and 6 dips. Like, why are we wasting our time doing something that benefits only one stakeholder? That's not how the real world works, guys. And I know we're in our little bubble here, but guess what? The real world has moved on. The philosophy of work is much more advanced. And so if you're not finding win-win-win, you're probably not looking hard enough. And I believe that very strongly. So yes, I am doing more than one thing at once. Negative feedback specifically is important, and I've asked for it. Now, of course, I love the positive feedback. Heap your praises upon me. I love it. But that is not helpful for me to iterate. That does not help me iterate. Then I would just do the same proposal again and again, right? I need to know specifically the things that should be better, different, changed. And that's the only way that I can iterate. And I did a flash proposal. So, yes, I don't know if anybody in here, but just anyone hearing this, like, I had to be kind of intense in the first couple days because people are reluctant to give negative feedback. It's maybe part of the social contract. Like, if you don't have anything nice to say, keep it to yourself. No, your scathing criticism requested. I need it. Tell me everything you hate about my proposal, please, and quickly. So it was also kind of a game for me to figure out, how do I even elicit negative feedback on a social chain where we're all kind of accustomed to just, if we don't like it, we're just going to shut up about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I attend an entrepreneurial show over on Clubhouse on Fridays, and the guy that runs it is a serial entrepreneur, and he says exactly what you're talking about. Is when you want to know exactly what your project's strengths and weaknesses are, you do not go to your mother. You go to somebody who's going to tell you the truth, and that's exactly what you're talking
Somebody
about.
like Ferrisim. I appreciate that guy so much. And not everybody wrote on the posts. A lot of people did write to me in DMs, and I appreciate each and every one of them. One of the things I suspected, Bud had asked me about what I've demystified. I suspected this, but it's clear to me now. Not everybody wants the same things. Makes sense, right? We're a decentralized collective. So if somebody wants to pass a proposal, it's likely that they're going to need to get a cohort of stakeholders to agree, and not everybody is going to like you. Not everybody's going to like your idea. Not everybody's going to vote on it. Even beyond things about timing and if you're active or, oh my gosh, my dog had surgery. I never got around to voting on that. Beyond that, even if everybody was looking at it and deciding to click at the same moment, I think you're never going to get a proposal that every single person wants or likes, So let's try to identify the cohorts, especially because we have kind of some big voters and then a whole bunch of little ones. And I love the little ones too, but it's math, guys. So I've been validating the users. It's kind of funny. I've invited everyone to validate me. I've been validating you. And isn't this fun? We're playing a really fun game.
So where is the proposal currently? Are you getting close? What do you think? Where are we
Well,
going?
I think we're closer than it seems, but I will say this: I needed a break. Wow, that first, I had to be more intense than I'm used to being because I did it so quickly, and I thought if you went to somebody in the DMs and said, "Hey, tell me what you don't like about this," they would answer me. But you can't believe how, at least at first, how many people just ghosted me. I was surprised. Whoa, dude, I thought we were cool. If I ask you to shit on my proposal, you would be cool to do that with me. But no, just ghost. So I had to be kind of intense, and that required, energy. And then other things happened, and my mom was in the hospital. I don't know if anybody knows that, and she's out now. I'm very happy. I had a talk with my father one of these days. Anyways, it just, life happens, and so there was a lot of energy, emotional energy invested, energetic investment, and so I just needed to take a break and get back, take some breaths, do some podcasts, and now I'm probably ready to reach out again to a few more people or the same people one more time. Once I do the partial funding, I'll demystify partial funding. I'll ask. Most of the feedback was there's a lot of voters, at least I should say, and also some really big ones that did not care how fast the money came. But there's a bunch of those kind of middle big accounts that just didn't like, this is not the way we do things. We drip over a year, and it should be dripping so we can cancel your grant at any time and screw up your roadmap. We want to have power over you. And I don't think that's how they see it. They see it as the way it's always done, but that's not how grants work. If you either get the grant or you don't, and then you make your plan. And so there's a whole post that's probably half written about that. That's another game theory thing. But I believe now my best bet is to ask for 1 day of funding. I would like 1 day of funding. Give me your votes. I think I can get $9,000. That'll fund us for 2 months if you look at the math on the proposal. I think we've done enough work that it's already worth $9,000. Do you? And so that's my next post. I got my 3-Tune Tuesday post out today, and dealt with my family emotional issues and dumped my D-City NFTs. But I'm churning my wallets, guys. This is what I'm doing. I will build these things because we need it to save our ecosystems. And that to me is more important than whatever big number on internet. So I'd like to keep as much stake as I can, but I'll churn my wallet until the ecosystem is saved. I'm going to keep posting. I'm going to keep shoving stuff into the Hive blocks. Nobody can stop me. But I believe the next step is my notebook. It says phase 3. Phase 3 is partial funding. So I didn't do it right as partial funding started, but basically my next move is to ask for 1 day of funding. And I think there's a chance. I think we're closer than it looks. I don't know if you know, but one voter has 26 million. So the return proposal has been moved up because people don't like one of the proposals. So we need to basically drum up 5 million more votes, and then I could ask block trades. And he could say yes, he could say no, but we're also doing our best to get up in his business. We went to the core dev meeting. We're demystifying. We're just trying to figure it. And even if we don't get any funding, first of all, I'm not going to be offended. I kind of thought there was a pretty low chance we'd get any funding when we started it. And we may do another proposal. I don't know how fast. But again, I don't need, I'm not looking for work. I got plenty of money to do this. And this is what we're doing. So I think the win here is all the demystification. I'm certain that I wouldn't do it the same way a second time. I'd put together, with everything I've learned, I'd put together a proposal, maybe campaign for a month, and maybe the structure would be a little bit different and all that. But I wouldn't edit it as I go. I don't know if you guys noticed, I was editing it, and I added some things and I subtracted some things as we went. Well, that's done now. That was phase 1, and that's done. And so now phase 3 is we're just going to ask for 1 day. We want 1 day. We need about 5 million, and then I can ask block trades, and he can say yes or no, and maybe that'll happen.
I mean, I'd say go for 2, man. Why just go for 1 when you can go for 2?
Well, good point. It could be 3, but I mean that's what we'll have to do. I'll have to do maybe 1 or 2 more days of hey, remember when you said it was too fast? What do you think about 1 day?
Oh, there's something to be said for give me the shot. What, I mean, at the end of the day, how many years have you been here making tools, making things, making synergy, as we say, as you say. So I feel when I look out at the landscape of DHF proposals, I do think you have enough credit in your backlog to warrant a trial effort, for crying out loud, in my humble view, this butthead's view.
Well, that's beautiful, yeah. But you've been voting my proposal for days, bro.
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy a lot of hives to help you out.
Well, Trump's doing his part.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Was that too political? I'm sorry. Okay. Anyways, the markets are helping. If anybody wants to buy a few more hive, not due to my proposal, but I would just say, guys, just remember, smart people buy low and sell high. Okay, so just don't be so upset about the distractions out there. If you think hive is too low, buy a little bit more.
Yeah, we've gotten ourselves here towards the end of an hour. So whoever is out there in the audience, if you're convinced that it's worth a day, you know where to get your vote out. And I'll say thank you so much for coming in. It's been a great talking with you here on the Hive Thrive. I feel like you have really helped my energetic, and this show's energetic. So I do thank you for that. And I'll leave you guys off with Shadows Pub here for our final closeout.
Yeah, it's been an interesting hour. Can't always understand you, Eco, but sometimes we can get back to it and sort that out. I will comment, since we were talking about now is a good time to buy Hive. Isidio has just reminded everybody that it does take 30 days for your new Hive to be able to affect witness and proposal votes. So buy now so you can vote later. It's an excellent opportunity. And thank Eco, and it's going to be interesting seeing how this all develops for you. And thank everybody for coming out today.
This has
By the
been
way, Snook
Hive.
decided that she was going to kind of do reverse psychology, and you can ask her what she thinks about your proposal, and she'll tell you it's all wrong because that's what mothers do. Enjoy.
This has been Hive Thrive. See you next time.